Elle, when I did the Institute last summer, I remember you talking about this some, and it was something that was interesting because, too, Lisa, when you were talking about the concept, when I started in the Institute, I wrote down the words intersectional joy. In my notebook, I went back and looked before this, and it was before I even talked to you, and I was trying to remember what was coming up from that, and it relates to something you said, Fatima. I was writing it down. You said that joy doesn't need to be in reaction to oppression, right? And I think that's, for me, that is such a critical and important point because it gives, if people say, oh, it's in reaction to oppression, that's giving more power to the oppressor, right? This is just sheer joy in the spaces that you occupy. And when I was thinking about it before, it's like, being an older gay man who survived the HIV epidemic, who was an activist in the 80s, getting arrested and beaten, and all these things. Although some would see that as pain, I see that as joy, because we came together as a community in ways that had never been seen before for queer folks. So when we were in the institute last summer, I was thinking, yes, we have this deficit model in public health of always thinking about the bad things, the wrong things, but the connection to different social statuses and things inherently are joyful. And two, I grew up in a very low income environment. I didn't know I was poor till I went to college, because we had a strong faith connection, we had a strong neighborhood connection, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. So I think it is important, and I really, again, really like what you talked about, Fatima, about not viewing it in relationship to the oppressive forces, and just viewing it as the beauty that you have and you possess, given who you are and how you move through the world. So I really, really appreciate that a lot. Thank you both for doing that.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Gary. So specifically, Gary, I want to, because they address something you talked about where in this paper, they say that their understanding of Black queer joy is not focused on their individual level, but just what you said, it's a community level
Hmm.
concept. It's very much, do you want to talk about that before we go to Chioma?
Yeah, no,
Well, no, I was asking them, but if you go.
oh, my bad. I'm shut up.
No, I'm gonna move in because these headphones just died. I think there's something that I want to. Can you hear me? Nod if you can hear me. Okay, cool. I want to push on. It's not just like the intrinsic beauty.
Wait. You gotta stay still so we can, when you move your head.
Yeah. I'm moving towards the computer until these charge up and I can. It's not
Okay.
like the intent and the intrinsic beauty we possess. I think our beauty is related to our histories and our shared histories, but I do think it's something that's created moment to moment. Because if it's just the beauty we possess, we'd always be joyous. And like this is like a hard experience sometimes too. And I think it's important to like not distill it down or simplify it to that. So that's what I want to push on. And I actually think it relates to the other point, which is the community aspect too. Like sometimes the only joy I have access to is remembering experiences of joy I've shared in community. And it can be sustaining where I'm like, oh, like this is, and it's something that I think I get by way of my Blackness, like the patience in response to oppression, not resilience, not having to always be strong, but like recognizing that there are moments of future joy is something that I think comes with being Black. And like thinking about the last time I was nested in Black community and held and felt loved, or thinking about how my ancestors made beautiful music that I still feel in my bones to this day. Like, and so that is part of how I think it's a community level. I think it's something you can borrow from people in your community across time and space when you don't necessarily have it at your hand.
Yeah, that resonates with me deeply. Fatima.
Yeah, I think as we're talking, I'm also thinking about Cedric Robinson's description of the Black radical tradition as kind of like this consciousness that is like forged not only like through struggle, but also is just like an affirmative vision of like a different world, right? Of like what could we be doing, not just instead, but like what would we want to be doing, right? I think, and so I'm thinking about like these little pockets of joy and how they can also give you a glimpse, perhaps, of a future that hasn't arrived yet,